And here we're going back. This is, notice this is between 11, right here, roughly 11,600 years ago and about 14,000 years ago. Look at what happened right here. You can see right around 15,000 years ago, the climate is actually, if we took this thing out of here, you can see there's almost a trend that gets interrupted right here.
Instantly.
Oh, overnight, yeah. And in fact, what has happened is if you go back through the literature of climate change and you read the estimates of how long it took for the planet to shift modes from full glacial to the interglacial like we're in now, 50, 75 years ago, it was thousands of years. When radiocarbon dating came along in the 50s, it began to compress. And what happened is that if you look in the 80s, we're talking about perhaps a century, several centuries. Now comes the Greenland ice cores and other ice cores and other proxies, deep sea cores and so forth, and the correlation of all of this evidence. And it goes from centuries to decades. Well, as the ability to perceive these changes with ever greater precision and ever greater resolution has evolved, it's gotten now where the climate change that took us from glacial to interglacial happened in less than 5 years. And that's what we're seeing right here in this graph.
What?
That's what we're seeing.
So 2010 glacier, 2015 done. Ice age over.
The glacier, yeah. Bear in mind now that there's a considerable lag between the actual, the manifestation of the glaciers, because the glaciers didn't melt that quick.
Right, because they're so huge.
Right,
the
it'd be just like,
that started.
imagine that we had a big chunk of ice, and we had an ice sculpture here, right? And if the temperature is, 31 degrees, it's not going to melt. If you turn the temperature up to 70 degrees, right, we could turn the temperature up in a matter, and it could warm up the room in a matter of hours or minutes. But it's going to take a while for that ice sculpture to melt. There's going to be a lag.
Right.
Although the change that's led to that meltdown was virtually instantaneous, you see.
Right.
So, but in that period, in this interim, what we're seeing right here, there was an extraordinary, right here, I think, if I go to the next slide, I think, let's go to the next one. Yeah, I'm going to zoom in here so you can see this. There were two massive warming spikes. One right here, you can see that we're down here in full glacial mode right there. And then boom, right there, this huge spike of warming.
Now, what does that represent when it comes to like temperatures?
That could be on the order of, well, that would be about 10 to 12 degrees centigrade, which would be about 18 degrees Fahrenheit, average temperature.
Which is a crazy change,
because
we're scared of 2 degrees, right?
We're scared of 2 degrees, and here we're scared to 2 degrees centigrade. Here we're looking at 5, 6 times that much in a matter of a couple of years. You see, wow. At this point, we don't really have an explanation for this. That's why I get really frustrated when somebody says to me, "Oh, climate change is over." No. We're in the infancy of understanding the climate of this planet, and when we look at stuff like this, you see, it really drives home that point. And you can see here.
I think what people are saying when they're saying that the debate on climate change is over, though, is whether or not human beings have had an impact on it in current times.
No question, right? We have had an impact.
Right. That's
no question.
Kind of what the debate is, right?
Well, if you say that the debate is about have humans had an impact or not, I think that there's no debate. Yeah, humans have had an impact.
What they're looking at, though, in your mind, is one aspect of a very multidimensional issue.
Yes, exactly. And
whoa.
We get so focused
on carbon change.
That we're not looking at any of these other factors.
Isn't that
whoa?
Concentrate on one aspect of things, and it becomes like almost like a cultural meme. And then it spreads, and this is all people talk about. And it's been so many people, I guarantee you, that were upset at what you said have not researched climate change at all. They just have parroted the words of people that they've heard on television that are experts.
Well, you got this, 97%
right.
Agree. Well, if you look into the origin, it's pretty contrived. It really is. I mean, how you come up with that. And we could do an hour-long discussion on that. I don't really think we want to get into that today. but I really feel like I should write an analysis of the source of that 97% so-called consensus so that people can really see where it came from. In a nutshell, basically, it goes through 3 or 4 pieces of research, some surveys that went out that were slanted right from the beginning, such as, do you feel that humans have had an impact on climate? Yes. Nobody disagrees with that. See, you can go through all whoever these so-called deniers are. I have looked and looked. Who's denying? Is there any climate scientists on anywhere on the spectrum that denies that the climate changes or that denies that humans have had an influence on the climate? And I haven't found a single one. So in other words, these deniers that you hear about, the climate change deniers, they don't really exist. There are those who criticize the consensus view, right, that the dominant mode of climate change is being induced by humans. And they are being shoved into this camp of climate change deniers, but they're not. They're absolutely not climate change deniers. And when you look at stuff like this, a lot of these guys who would question the so-called anthropogenic climate change consensus are guys who've done this work.
Now, this work is how old? How old?
Well, this goes to the this goes back to this work that I'm showing you here was published in '93. The Greenland Ice Sheet Project and the Greenland Ice Sheet Project and the Greenland it was GRIP and GISP, the two